When the outdated tactics get left behind, it's time we stop. Marketers look around when your ranking's going down. It's the Jim and Ann Show with Jim and Ann, and today's special guest is Truman Hedding. Truman has tons of experience, like 20 years experience. He's growth hacker, pay-per-click guru, video marketing guru, speaker, among a ton of other items as well. So Truman, it's great to have you here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guy. I really appreciate it. And it's so nice to see you. I was always super happy when I heard that you were joining, and it's really cool to have you here.
Right back at you. I have a question. So we just started talking about that behind the scenes. So let's talk about team managing. I know you have experience in managing, training, multi-functional teams. How to create, to set up an effective digital marketing team? What should their experience be? Do you recommend hiring experts or training house or both?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I think I could answer it two ways. Obviously, if you're a Fortune 500 company, you have the budget to hire a big team. If you're a business owner trying to thrive, you're doing, $1 million to 15 million a year in sales, and you can't afford to hire a full team. It's a much different scenario. So I guess I could speak to the two of those. But first, I'll start with what should be consistent amongst those. At the end of the day, trust is super important. For a lot of my career, I had a hard time trusting people. In my early years of running the agency, it was hard for me to let go of responsibilities because I wanted to, if we were going to fail, I wanted to be the one to account for it. So I think I was coming from a good place. I just didn't want other people to have to deal with that. But I may be lying to myself. So at the end of the day, I really wanted to grow as an agency, and the only way that I could do that was by trusting the people that I brought on. So I guess we'll skip the what to look for and really jump into what you need as a business. And I can speak to it with the two different scenarios: one, super big Fortune 500 company, and then two, the other, which is the business owner trying to succeed. So for the Fortune 500 company, I think that everybody has the same goal to get the most bang for their buck, hire the right person at the lowest price. But at the end of the day, when it comes to digital, that could end up costing you millions of dollars in mistakes. My advice to a bigger company is to do as much research as you can on what kind of questions you can ask. If you have a good friend or colleague that knows more than you do about digital, have them available to put questions in front of you that make sense. I mean, we live in a different time and age where somebody could get online and do a bunch of research and sound really smart and intelligent in a job interview and come across as the right person. I was, talking to Jim in another conversation about my own personal experience. I built my career off of getting the job done, off of doing what was right for the person that was paying me. I didn't build it with case study or bragging rights. I'm not, generally speaking, somebody that wants to bring attention to myself, that wants to toot my horn. I get super uncomfortable. So for me, later on in my career, it's really difficult to tell the story of where I've been and what I've done and justify that. People who know me, like Jim, Jim has worked with me. Jim knows what I'm capable of doing. A company I just met can only look at my LinkedIn profile and make their best guess and then get me on the phone. And if they're not super savvy, and I've had interviews over the past year, I have yet to speak with somebody who, God, this is going to sound terrible, knew more than I did. So I was always in the same position of trying to, I had to dumb down what I was saying, stuff that's just common sense to me and you, Ann, or me and you, Jim. It was like, okay, do you want me to walk you through what I did to get this page to convert better? But, it starts with this. So it's kind of a tough position for a person that's in my situation. But for the Fortune 500 company, you need one person on your team that has a lot of experience in different aspects of digital, from paid search to display streaming, organic, content development. You need somebody that's pretty well-rounded so that they can snuff through. That's the person that you're going to hold accountable for budget decisions. Hopefully they bring on people underneath them that know more than them about that specific job role. That's going to be a big ask. It takes quite a bit of humility to be able to do that. But having that one person that has the experience is going to be your go-to for every decision that you make as a company. They will know the right writer to bring on board that will achieve two objectives: convince people to pick up the phone or fill out a form, and then also get the search engines to trust the website, to trust the brand. Building content that's authoritative in nature, that optimizes for being the ultimate resource for that specific topic or subject that you're trying to rank for. So summarize Fortune 500, at least get one person that you're willing to invest the money in, that you can hold accountable in the right ways, that they can make decisions based off of their experience. From there, hiring different parts of the team should be pretty easy. And building on as far as like what advice I can give for those different components, like a paid search manager, a social media manager, and an SEO manager, walking through specific examples each one of those individuals have had. Tell me about your most difficult example or most difficult challenge, how you overcame it. Pay attention to how that person answers that question. If it's just a high level, oh, I had the site, it was crazy, I fixed it, we ranked it and we killed it, it was awesome. You want somebody that's going to say, well, we had a site that was built off of the WordPress theme that 12 other people had bought. We had super hard, difficult times using plugins to get the page speed up. We ended up having to rebuild the site using a custom theme because we found one of our SEO managers had worked in another industry where they use a theme, they got a new site and they ranked better. And we had this agency that we hired, Internet Marketing Ninjas, that told us we needed to do it. As a result of that, we didn't see it right away, but over time, our content got indexed faster. We started ranking for the long tail key phrases as opposed to the head. There's some SEO things that would make most sense to people who know SEO that you could catch right out of the bat. Now, if you have that person in-house who you paid the extra money for that has been through this experience, they'll be able to weed out whether or not that person's speaking truth. So from there, just pay attention, reach out to a friend, reach out to an agency, reach out to somebody like Ann or Jim and say, hey, what are good questions I can ask? I'm going to hire an SEO manager. I'm not sure if you offer this as a service, but I'll pay you 20 G's to advise us along the way. Think outside the box, right? Because everybody's going to have a super awesome kick butt LinkedIn profile. Everybody's going to be the best. Everybody's going to have the right answers, but ask them specific questions and don't just get them off the hook with one question, one example, ask them for another example. Yep. Look for specifics in the way that they answer. So that's the Fortune 500. The small to medium-sized business that is limited by their budget, I would argue that their inclination, and mine, even when I owned an agency, was to hire somebody at a lower scale and teach them, right? Because I knew search marketing. Now, if you don't know search marketing, you don't really have that as an option. It's almost like, you guys, there should be a business where I could develop a consulting role to help companies hire in-house digital marketers as like a one-off. But that small to medium-sized business owner is going to save a lot more money hiring the right person for the job than hiring somebody based off of a budget. So the same type of questions would apply to that small to medium-sized business. My official stance on this, having now thought about it, is to hire somebody in the higher end to even the highest end, because it will save you thousands and thousands of dollars. Again, I don't like to toot my horn, but I can't tell you how many times I've been brought onto a paid search account, implemented the right negative key phrases, either based off my experience or based off of running a search query report and seeing what traffic has been driven, cutting all that out and saving 20 to 30% of their budget out of the gates. It's almost like clockwork every single time. I think one or two times I came into an account where it was managed right. It was just other reasons weren't helping it grow. Because I have that experience and because I've failed a crap ton of times before, I'm able to save that business right out of the gates. Now, if you think about it, just to close this out, any person that you hire for the job wants to be the hero. Everybody naturally wants to be the hero when they come in. If you hire somebody who has failed a ton and knows how to save you money immediately, and that would even be a good question to ask. Hey, before you get started, do you have specific ways that you can save us money on our budget now, without giving away your trade secrets, right? Be respectful. But at least they'll be able to speak to them. Hey, there's a high probability that when I come in and look at your ads account, or even offer them to do a Zoom and show what you're doing. Open it all up, saying, this is what I'm working with. Get that person to commit ahead of time. That applies to a social manager, a content manager, SEO manager, paid search manager. Show them what you're doing. Get them to sign a non-disclosure, protect your own trade secrets, but get them to commit out of the gates before you hire them. If I was advising Jim, that was what I would be telling him to do. He probably does it already. But that's what I would tell any business owner to do. Because listen, let's face it, guys, let's admit it together that business owners that don't know digital are in a very vulnerable state when they're hiring agencies or people. They want to trust. And I mean, you probably had this before, you guys. I've had this several times before. How many times have you hired a client that was promised by 3 other agencies to get the job done, didn't get the job done? And now you're taking slack for it, but you're the new guys and you're thinking, we know what to do specifically, right? So this industry is wrought. It's almost like there could be a cause that started behind this question, Ann. How do you hire the right people? And there's, Jim, you should create a whole resource around this. Put a whole resource, how to hire the right digital marketing. Like, do you already have it?
We actually tend to train most of ours from the ground up, with a rare exception like Ann, who knows very experienced. But yeah, we've done some interviews with, or how do I say, I've helped some big companies with interviewing potential SEOs, and it is kind of fun to throw a million questions at them and see how much experience they really have. Like, tell me about any one of the Google updates. And how did it affect sites? And what is the difference between panda and penguin? And some people just look like, deer in the head, like, I don't know. And it's like, wait, you've been doing this for X amount of years or whatever. It is kind of interesting to interview, but yeah, most people don't have like the knowledge or experience as you and me to be able to even know what are the right questions to ask to find out if someone really knows their stuff.
You bring up a really good point, and just to kind of supplement it, for the businesses that do know digital marketing, there's a lot to be said for bringing on people at a lower level if you have the bandwidth and the resources to train them. There's a ton of really cool tools out there. I just saw one the other day. I'm sure you have a lot of them. That was basically a platform that allows you to record a lot of training sessions. So if you do have the knowledge and the capabilities in-house and you're just trying to grow your team, bravo. Hire somebody who's young and hungry, that wants a long-term career, that did their homework on time, that wants to be the hero, and that can follow through on executing the company's vision internally, and then execute a good training procedure for your organization. I know it's a hard ask for any business to set aside the time to prioritize a training manual or a training process, but 9 times out of 10, that'll be something that could save you millions of dollars down the road. So very good point. Your company is an outlier. You guys have built a whole training system around it, So put you aside, and there's a whole another example and vertical of people who are in a really tough situation, trying to figure out, how do I grow this team, not knowing this. And any business owner I've ever spoken to, it's almost like I empathize with them. I feel terrible because they're super good at whatever business they started and they're super successful. And here they are not knowing what the heck to look for, how to hold somebody accountable. It's a tough position for them to be in, honestly.
Stock marketers look around.